Now, our atmosphere does a wonderful thing. It's doing it right now in front of your eyes, that lake. That lake is being held in place in this basin by the atmosphere. 30 inches of barometric pressure keeps the level down. If the pressure dropped to say 26, the water would start to flow over the land because there's no pressure holding it in place. It's the same thing with the ocean. When a hurricane comes, you hear about, oh, the storm surge. Well, it's the same thing. Hurricanes have a ability to reduce the barometric pressure, causing the ocean to rise up and go ashore. If our atmospheric pressure remained at 26 for good, most of our land masses would be underwater right now. Instead, we have these things, this instability in the atmosphere. It causes disruption of our environment. But at the same time, it also forms the environment, helps change it, manage it. Rain comes down, makes all this grow, fills up this lake. Flooding reshapes the land. And what causes all this weather? Well, it's our moon. It's the only moon in the solar system that's trying to get away from the body that it's orbiting, in this case our planet Earth. Theoretically, it was formed when another smaller planet collided with ours back in the time of the early solar system. The collision threw out a mass of debris into the space around it, around the Earth, and coalesced and formed the moon. But because this mass was thrown out into space, that means it's constantly trying to break orbit and get away from the moon. The reflectors that were put on the surface of the moon by the Apollo moon missions were placed there so that we could fire lasers at them and then calculate the time it takes for them to come back to Earth and measure that time. This is how we're able to ascertain how fast the moon is moving away from us. A little over an inch a year. During the time of the dinosaurs, the moon filled the sky. There was never a dark time, except when the moon was on the other side of the planet. Now it's getting further and further away. As the moon moves away, it pushes and pulls the Earth. Like you take a soccer ball and a bathroom plunger. You put the plunger on top of the soccer ball and you push it up and down, up and down, up and down. You see the soccer ball expand and contract. Same thing's happening here. It's a little bit more complicated than that, of course, but it causes the earthquakes and the volcanism. It causes our plates to move over each other. And it causes our weather. The constant flexing of our planet creates the jet stream in the atmosphere and the Gulf Stream in the ocean. These currents of air and water mix up everything, keep things from getting stagnant. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to breathe the air, and the sea would become toxic for anything to live in, and start exuding harmful vapors into the air that would kill everything. There'd be no more tides, there'd be no more waves, everything would be diminished. The moon allows life to flourish. Currently our axis is about 2 degrees. Without the moon it would have been 45 degrees. Our seasons would have been insanely chaotic. We are very fortunate to have such a wonderful environment to live in. But without the electromagnetic field to protect us from the cosmic radiation, solar radiation, microwave radiation, gamma radiation, and just about everything, we would be pretty much fried by all that radiation and look like Mars today. The field protects us. The atmosphere sustains us. The moon protects us, so does Jupiter. This is our environment that we live in, which allows so much diversity. All the oxygen comes from these trees on the ground and from the phytoplankton in the oceans, microscopic little algae that suck up half the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere and produce the oxygen to sustain their little bodies. It's magnificent. But occasionally something gets through. Meteor plows into the atmosphere, hits the planet, asteroid comes in, causes an extinction level event. It's happened many times in the geologic past. And it still does. Only in 2013, a large asteroid exploded 15 miles above a Russian city, caused a lot of damage. Nobody saw it coming. Volcanoes erupt, caused by the plates skidding over each other. As the plates move over each other, they cause much friction and heat, which melts the rock, forming magma. And under high pressure, it comes up through the crust as a volcano and erupts. Basically, where I am right now is the White Mountains, 63 to 6,400 feet above sea level. Most of this mountain is formed by basalt, a type of volcanic rock. This entire area is volcanic. 15 million years ago, maybe less, it all erupted and formed what we have now, covered over by topsoil. These trees, these bushes, this grass is trying to grow on it, but it'll take a long time before it gets, these ponderosa pines get to the majesty of the ones around Lake Tahoe, for instance. But they're doing quite well. They enhance our environment, allow us to breathe, because without these trees, we do not live. So think twice before you cut one down. You're cutting down one of our oxygen factories. And without the oxygen factories, you can't have the thunderstorms, and you can't have the grass, and you can't have the things living off of it, and then we disappear. This is our environment. We all take it for granted. We're constantly moving through it, walking on it, breathing it. But we can't do this anywhere else. We can manufacture environments on the moon and Mars, but they're not the same. There's a certain quality to this environment. If you lived in a house with sealed doors and windows for all of your life and came out here, you would be amazed at how wonderful it smells, how easy it is to breathe. An artificial environment can only do so much. Just looking at this landscape calms us down. It's a known mental effect. For those of us who can't see, it's the feeling of the wind against our skin, the cool breeze, and the sounds of the winds through the pine needles, and the quiet. Yeah, it's not all quiet. I mean, you hear the machines going by, aircraft, trucks, cars, radios. People having fun, they're enjoying themselves.